right. The next slide's your police annex. You were
Yes,
talking
sir.
about that a little bit earlier. Tell us
Yes,
about
sir.
that.
Well, people will see the wording on there. It says Combined Investigation and Response Team, and it's made up of a joint effort between Fremont County Sheriff's Department, Florence Police Department, and Canon City Police Department. And what it does is that it combines two aspects. One is our investigation function for all of our criminal investigations, and then also a drug task force that we have that's made up as a second component. And what it does is it takes limited resources, takes our combined energies to help each other, because criminals know no borders. So they're not going to stop at the city limits, of Canon City or Florence, or they're not even going to stop at the borders of Fremont County. But at least within those boundaries of Fremont County, we take our law enforcement efforts, combine the energy, and get the best return for the tax dollar. And there's been some feedback, from different components of the pros and cons of that. You may have, as we recently had a missing person in Florence, that we divert a lot of resources to assisting Florence with that. But the thing is at the end of the day, I think it's a better return for the tax dollar. You've got a good team concept where people take the energy, share knowledge, share investigation skills and abilities, and then let the criminals know that they're not safe within the boundaries of Fremont County. And we also have good working relationships with other people in the Central Mountain Training Foundation area and stuff, which is incumbent of about 6 different counties in this region. So we do real well with information sharing, working together as partner agencies, and using, especially in tough economic times, our limited resources to maximize the return on the tax dollar.
Do you get a lot of help from the other agencies? Because I know your agency's a little bigger than some of the others, and so the input cash-wise into that from the community is probably a little more from Canon City than it would be from the others. Do you get good support from them?
We do get good support. Yeah, I would think that if you just laid everything out on the table, you'd see that Canon City picks up the lion's share of the expenses. Obviously, the building is the property of Canon City. And so I think that in fairness to the whole process is that there's probably a greater outlay of expenses for the city of Canon City. But the flip side is that I think everybody with what they're capable of bringing to the table are doing really well from a team concept to make sure that they try to, either through providing personnel or any other resources they can, to try to equal out as much as they can their share of the responsibilities and the cost considerations.
Tell us, we're wrapping it up right now. Tell us about the Citizens Advisory Committee. I believe you have one of those, don't you?
We do, and Kathy Heron, who has been a dispatcher, a police officer for, I think, 13 years, she handles that. She handles our Citizens Police Academy and some of the other groups as well, and I think a lot of that is just based on partnerships with people in the community and having outreach efforts and making sure that through the partnership of us working hand in hand, that through that collaborative effort we can make this a safer community. And I think that so far we have. I think from the crime statistics just on dispatch calls from 2008 to 2009, we had right at 22,000 dispatch calls last year, and in 2008 we had 23,000. So we had almost 1,000 more dispatch calls in 2008 and 2009, which is kind of a reversal when you have a down economy, that you actually have a decrease in the number of calls for service or the amount of call or the amount of crime. And all of our crime categories decreased last year. And I think it was because people were working in partnership, people police themselves, people are good in having a communication network with the police officers. And I think that's one of the positives of living in a smaller community, is that the officers know the people in the community. They grew up with them. Their children are growing up with people that are in their age group's children, and so it's a real close network of people collaborating, sharing information, doing everything we can collectively to make us a safe community.
Well, I'm going to read a quote, and you saw this before we started, so you know what's coming at you
Yes,
here.
sir.
The Austin Chronicle back in 2004, you said that an officer's duty is to interact with the community and that you'd like to see more officers involved in volunteer projects like sponsoring and coaching Little League sports so that residents get to know the person behind the badge. Does this still hold true here in Canyon?
It does, and probably even more so because I think that your sphere of influence will be even greater. And like tomorrow, I'll be teaching a couple of classes at the senior mini college along with Kathy Heron. We're going to be heavily involved with the Orchard of Hope this year with some fundraising efforts. We're going to do a fire engine bowl at the high school. Dr. Gouldy was nice enough to get that worked out where we could use the parking lot. And I think that, those kind of efforts are the things that we need to do to give back to the community, to have outreach. And I've kind of tasked with all the folks that work for me to say, bring your best ideas to the table on some outreach that we can have. And one of the things was, as I mentioned to you as we were coming in the doors, is how to recognize people in the community for going above and beyond and giving extra to, one, recognize them, and then two, find some way to just in a small way say thank you for what they're doing. And so there's a lot of different programs. And I think because law enforcement is a service-oriented type occupation, you always have to say, are we doing everything we can to improve our service delivery? We're going to do a lot of proactive programs as it deals with registered sex offenders, parolees, probationers, people that have protective orders, people that are involved with crisis intervention, mental health issues and those kind of things. There's going to be a lot of different programs that we're going to do more proactively to do everything we can to ensure the safety of the community. And then the other is that it's important for us to give back to the community. And you give back, through volunteering your time and your efforts, and it's not just through the paid services that you have as a public servant, but also investing in good charitable causes, try to do as much outreach as you can, and do everything you can to make the community safer and more of an attractive magnet than it is. I don't know how you would do that for tourists to come and all the beauty that's here, and then to make this a place where it's on the map for being a great place to live.
Well, I got to tell you, I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yes, sir.
And I know that you're always open to have people call down there and you return your calls.
Yes, sir.
And you want input from the community.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to once again introduce our new chief, our new police chief, and you make a show really easy because all you got to do is ask a couple of questions and you just go.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shane. I thought it was going to be tough, so I appreciate you taking it easy.
And on a side note, if anybody out there sees the chief out and he needs something to drink, he loves his iced tea.
I drink it by the gallon.
And coming into summer, I just saw an email, you're coming up on 2 gallons.
Yes, sir.
Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shane.
Thank you very,
Yes,
very
sir.
much. Keep watching because in a couple of weeks we'll have another show that'll deal with all the senior activities and senior health care issues here in Canon City and Fremont County. This is the Chamber Connection. My name is Doug Shane, and I appreciate you watching. We'll see you again.